Welcome to Monmouth in Focus, a program about the services and functions of Monmouth County government. I'm Commissioner Director Tom Arnone, your host for this segment of Monmouth in Focus. Today, we are joined by Elaine Riazzi Bodine, Executive Director and co-founder of the Elena Jane Foundation. Welcome, Elaine. How are you?
Good. Thank
Great
you for having me.
This is great. So we do many segments over the course of the year, and some of them are very passionate, and they hit the viewers very passionately, and this is one. And we met a while back at another event where I saw that you had a booth and you were promoting what we're about to talk about now. Can you share to the viewers a little bit about the information of the foundation?
So the Elena Jane Foundation is named after my daughter, and my daughter was diagnosed with Hodgkin lymphoma, stage 2 cancer.
How old's your daughter?
She was 17 when she was diagnosed. Okay. She's 19 now. So it was actually the very beginning of her senior year of high school. So here she was, first of all, we're thinking ahead. We're thinking, your senior year, this is the pinnacle of your school years, right? You got prom, you got graduation, and we were hit with the diagnosis, which was just devastating. But what we did find was that we received an outpouring of love and support from the community, from friends, from family, and from strangers, and it was so impactful. And you don't realize until you're going through something like that, just how impactful that is for the recipients. And so we knew from an early stage of our journey that we wanted to pay things forward. We wanted to be able to help others and really take the negative and turn it into a positive and find purpose in it all.
So it's my understanding that Sloan Kettering in New York has called Elena the pioneer patient there. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So very early on with her diagnosis, we learned that you have to be your own advocate, and you have to ask those questions. You have to ask the why, and more importantly, I think, the why nots. And so we did, and we pushed, and Elena was the first of many. And ultimately, most importantly, I think, she was the very first pediatric patient at Memorial Sloan Kettering to use the cold cap.
Wow, so that's why we're here today.
Yep.
Talk a little bit about the cold cap, and I forget where we met because it was like maybe a year or two. I don't even know how long ago we met.
It was last fall.
Was it last fall?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the foundation has actually only been around since last fall.
Oh, okay. So it was last fall we met, and it just struck me, and I said, you have to be a guest on a TV show here, Monmouth in Focus, because I think it's important that all the people know that there's something out there, and it's better and it's best to come from somebody that has gone through the experience. And so at that period of time, I came to your table where you were promoting the cold cap there, and I think Elena was there. I think, I'm not sure, maybe she wasn't there at that period of time. But I saw this cold cap, and I said, what is this? So could you talk a little bit about what it is, and how beneficial it is, and how it's helped Elena and hopefully many others?
Of course, yes. So the cold cap, this is the cold cap. This is the cap that Elena wore. And it comes in two parts. So you have the inner shell and the outer shell. The inner shell, if you look, you can actually see the fluid in this sort of cranium shape.
So the fluid comes through this?
Yes, it's a coolant, basically. Okay. So this is insulated, and it plugs into the cooling machine, which looks very much almost like a dehumidifier that you may have in your house. So it's portable, it's on wheels, and you plug it in. You have to prep the hair ahead of time. So this is worn during the chemo treatments. So when they go in for the chemo treatment day, you have to pre-cool with a cap during your treatment and then also post-cool. So it does add to your treatment day. So Elena would have to wear the cap for approximately 5 hours during her chemo treatment.
Now, there's not medicine flowing through
no,
this?
it's just it's a coolant. Okay. And then this is the insulator cap that you wear over it just to keep it nice and snug and keep it cool. And basically what it's doing, it's cooling down the temperature of the scalp to cool down those hair follicles. Because what chemo does, it destroys fast reproducing cells. And what this does then is actually cools it to a temperature where it protects those cells, because chemo doesn't understand what are good cells and what are bad cells. It just kills them all. And ultimately, that's what results in hair loss. But then they found if you were to cool down the scalp, it protects the hair follicles, and thus leading into either no hair loss or less hair loss.
So as you said, when you were stunned and shocked to find this out, this at that time devastating news there, and but now let's think of the patient, which is the child.
Yes.
The number one thing is, am I going to lose my hair? Somewhat being cautious, going around their friends and stuff like that. So this part had to be a big, big lifesaver to the part of, for her own personal feelings there, going through this bad enough experience.
It's huge. It's huge. This, and I'm going to say straight away, this is not about vanity. People just automatically assume it's about vanity. It's got nothing to do with vanity. This is about their mental state.
Absolutely.
This is about being able to look in the mirror and see yourself instead of seeing the cancer.
That's right.
And this was her senior year of high school. And, she had prom, she had graduation, she had all these life moments ahead of her. And I didn't want her looking back and seeing the cancer first and foremost. I wanted her to be able to look back and see the good times and see the achievements and the accomplishments that she'd made over the years during her school years. And, part of the battle of cancer is your mental state. You have to be in the right frame of mind to be able to get through this journey. Cancer it's not easy. It's certainly not an easy battle for anybody.
But you have to be a fighter.
You absolutely have to be a fighter. And if you talk to cancer patients, the number one gruesome side effect that they will recall is losing their hair. And, it's something, no matter what age, it's devastating, but especially for these teenage girls, especially.
And females.
But males too.
Males too,
Yes.
yes.
Males, in fact, when I was, and of course I've been talking about this now for some time, and I'm meeting with people. I had a friend of mine who I didn't realize, I know his father had passed, and he'd passed because of cancer, but he shared with me that his father did not want to lose his hair. And they say 10% of cancer patients will actually forego chemo because they do not want to lose their hair. And unfortunately, he was one of them. And he chose a different route to go. And unfortunately, he passed.
Oh, wow.
So this is a game changer.
So before we go to the mission that you are creating moving forward, can we talk a little bit about how your daughter is right now?
She's doing well. Thank you for asking. We just celebrated her first year of being cancer-free last Wednesday. So we were super thankful and feeling very blessed right now. She is a freshman at Monmouth University.
Terrific.
And she's actually in the nursing program.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
What a great stories. And I thought it was important because as our viewers are watching, they're hoping what that end's going to be there, that end story is going to be in which you conveyed, which is fabulous. And but then you did not stop there.
And nor did she. Elena is also very much involved with the foundation.
That is fabulous.
So we kind of tag team. Elena works directly with the recipients, and I work behind the scenes and then also with the caregivers, because something else that we're able to give to the people that reach out to us is that we get it. We've been there. We've lived it.
It's a lot easier to hear it from you because people believe it.
Yes.
So what is the mission of the foundation?
So our mission is to provide financial assistance and support to specifically the adolescents and young adults that wish to use the coal cap, and also to educate, bring awareness to the general public and to the medical field. Not enough people know about this. And when we first started our journey, we had to fight so hard to get approval for Elena because these pediatric oncologists were not aware of the coal cap. This was basically FDA cleared in 2017 for 18 and older. So it's found in many of the adult facilities, but it's not available in the pediatric world. My argument was, but hold on, you are a pediatric patient until 23. So there's a whole section here of pediatric patients, cancer patients, that you're not providing this as an option, and you should be. Give them the option, just as you do with the adults.
Wow, we are so fortunate that people like yourself, that I could see that in your presentation, how determined and passionate you are. So how many families have you helped, you think you've helped, or have reached?
Well, we're definitely getting out there to the community. Even before the foundation started, we were helping people. But right now, currently, we have 4 recipients, all local girls in Monmouth and Ocean County, that are either going through chemo or just finished chemo. And we were able to provide them all with the cold cap, and then also to cover the cost of the scalp cooling treatments as well.
And what is that, the scalp? What is the...
The scalp cooling treatments is the treatment day. So, so you have to plug it in, and you have to basically, that's the scalp cooling treatment. So this is the cold cap, and then once you plug it in and that starts to circulate, that's your scalp cooling treatment.
Now, where, like, any of our viewers that are watching this, and let's hope nobody has to come across this, but if that should be the case, where would they be able to reach out to you and find out more information, and then find, like, where do you purchase these? Do you just use them for the period of time that you need them? Is it a hospital? Is it a pharmacy? Where might it be that you would?
So first of all, they can certainly find out more on our website, the ElenaJaneFoundation.org. We also encourage everybody to follow us on social media, because that also gives us a huge presence and credibility within the medical community as well. And it's something that we work directly with the doctors. So if we do have a patient, and with all the recipients I currently have, what I thought was interesting, and I was really happy to hear that they all reached out to us directly. So that means obviously we're spreading the word.
Yes, the word's
so
out there.
They reached out to us directly before they even met with the doctor, which I thought was just wonderful. But there's certain hospitals that we're working with closely that they also pass along our information as well. But again, as I mentioned earlier, you have to be your own advocate, and unfortunately, we will all be touched by cancer in one way, shape, form, or another. We will.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about it.
So to have this information ahead of time, before you walk into that doctor's office, to say, is this an option for me, I think it is a game changer.
I know I'm segueing off it a little bit when I bring this up, but there's so many different and so many important beneficial groups that address a certain form of cancer, or some sort of initiative like you have yourself, or treatment or something to that effect. And but they all, in one way or another, touch each other. I mean, you have the Lauren Ashley Foundation, you have the different areas, you have, I have a foundation for pancreatic cancer, called Pound the Pavement. And you go through all these period of times, but it's amazing because it's those little things that occur during that period of time that people try to, they not that they forget, but they don't put as important as actually the cancer itself. And that's your personal feelings, and and the way you feel, and your morale and all that. And this here is 50% of it. Because, and I think this is a tremendous initiative that you're doing. I'm so happy for your family itself that everything is working good. And I'm sure Elana's going to be like the spokesperson of this, and it's going to grow and grow and grow. Hopefully we're helping that today here. But I can't thank you enough, because, unfortunately, a lot of people go through these difficult times, and then when the difficult time is, it was personal to you and to Elana and to your family, but the good outcome came from it. And now you said, okay, let's make sure we get this message out so other people can get that good outcome. So I commend you for that there, and anything that we can do here in Monmouth County to help you or assist you in a way. I hope this helps here, getting the message out there.
Absolutely.
Please make sure that you reach out. I'm so glad we ran into each other.
Me too.
You're doing phenomenal things. And again, anything you need from us, please feel free to reach us at any time.
Thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate that.
So that's all we have today for our episode of Monmouth in Focus. And see the audience and everyone here in Monmouth County next time. Thank you.
In today's workforce, competition is fierce. If you need a competitive edge, earn a credential that sets you apart and brings you closer to your goals. At Brookdale, we offer a variety of short-term certifications in a wide range of fields. From social media and architecture to culinary arts and cybersecurity, we help you get trained, get certified, and get ahead. This is Brookdale. College redefined, success reimagined. Take your next step at brookdalecc.edu.
I choose to be a winner, on and off the court. Brookdale helped me achieve my success definitely by putting the right people around me. The athletic department is probably one of the best in community college in New Jersey, I would think, or maybe even across the country. With only 8 people on your team, and knowing that you guys worked really hard every day during the season, on and off the court with their studies, on the court with the coaches. I think that after winning, I feel like everybody appreciated everything that we did during the season to get there. Being able to succeed in the classroom by getting on the dean's list and then winning the national championship was probably the best success I could have at Brookdale. I'm Neil Thompson, Jersey Blues national champion. Success starts at Brookdale.
Welcome to Monmouth in Focus, a program about the services and functions of Monmouth County. I'm Commissioner Director Tom Arnone here, and I'm honored today and joined by Chip Craig, Associate Executive Director and Chief Business Officer of Interfaith Neighbors, and a very good friend of mine. How you doing, Chip?
Commissioner Arnone, I'm doing great today.
Great. So listen, the nonprofits are a backbone of the county. I've said that to you and so many others for so long. And you know, Interfaith Neighbors is one that's known Monmouth County, the whole widespread of Monmouth County, because all the great things you do in Monmouth County. So how did Interfaith, how did it get started? And I know you do a lot for the homeless there. Can you touch a little bit on that?
Sure. Well, how we got started is a very interesting story. It goes back 35 years. That's when Interfaith really started. Wow. 35 years ago here in Monmouth County, a number of faith-based organizations, temples, parishes, Protestant churches got together and were addressing the issue of homelessness. Wow. And they were all doing their own set of projects to help, but they ultimately came together and said they thought they could do a whole lot better if they came together as one organization. And from that, the original 7 joined into a nonprofit organization called Interfaith Neighbors. And from that point, homeless prevention has been part of our work. The county has supported us considerably over those 34 years to keep us in that program. And really our work in homeless prevention goes to rental and mortgage assistance. So this is a
guys
program.
do a fine job.
It's one of those programs where folks in the county need to understand how much the county has supported this situation. And what it really addresses is folks who have really run into a difficult time, hardworking folks in a home or rental situation, and we try to keep them in that situation to get through that hard time. So we service between 300 to 500 families a year. During the pandemic, it exploded to twice that number.
Wow. And I know that, there's so many different areas. People realize, obviously, that's the main focus of Interfaith Neighbors, but there's so many other branches that you guys hear, like the meal services program. Can you touch a little bit about how many meals you put out, and that people have no idea that service that you are really giving people the ability to eat?
Well, that is sort of our the largest program of Interfaith Neighbors. It's called the Meals on Wheels program, but it's the Monmouth County Senior Nutrition Program. So we exist in that program because of the county funding that comes through to us for senior homebound and congregate nutrition. This is a program where we have 1,000 meals out to homebound seniors every day. And a lot of folks don't understand that is what the Meals on Wheels program in Monmouth County entails. 1,000 meals out to homebound seniors every single day. We also service 6 to 7 senior sites across Monmouth County where there's congregate settings, folks can come together. The thing about the Meals on Wheels program that's so significant and the support that we've had over the years from federal money and the county money, frankly, and donors to Interfaith Neighbors, is that our folks going to those doors are probably the only person that homebound senior sees through the week.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. Many of those circumstances, that's the only person they see.
Well, I know that you guys are always increasing the services, and I know that you have some other initiatives, and one that you could touch a little bit about is the launch program there that I'm actually not even that familiar with there.
Well, it's somewhat new. It's an outgrowth to workforce development that we've been doing for 8 or 9 years in Monmouth County, and it's a program that's open to all Monmouth County residents. It takes a little bit of explaining. The Launch Center program, we really try to meet folks where they are in their pursuit of career development. And when we say career development, we're talking about folks who are looking to get into careers that don't necessarily need a college education. There's a lot of programs today where certification, whether it's in medical, whether it's in solar, whether it's in CDL, driver's licensing, we try to meet folks who are trying to better their lives and through employment, and to get them into a program of ours that is pretty significant in terms of skill, development, and then helping them break the barrier that is holding them back from developing that career. For instance, many of the folks we deal with in that program don't have child care, so they can't really get into a program like this. We'll try to find the child care and pay for the child care for them. So it's a program for all of Monmouth County. It's based in Asbury Park at the Launch Center on Springwood Avenue.
Well, let me know, we could touch on it after this segment, but let me know if there's any ability for us to take a look at that, because, we are having a tough time with employment right now, the county, and we're looking for CDL drivers and all those individuals. So maybe we could touch base on it at another time to see if there's anything that we could partner with.
Sure.
So we all came through COVID-19, and it was difficult for us. It was very difficult for the nonprofits because just the difficulty and complexity of just structuring things. I'm hoping, and it was our initiative, the county, were we able to help the nonprofits and obviously Interfaith in particular? Were we able to assist you guys there through that process?
Well, again, the 2 programs I touched on already, the homeless prevention and the Meals on Wheels program, both of those programs became urgent programs for the county during the pandemic. And as I mentioned, in the homeless prevention program, our numbers exploded. It was twice as many families we were called on to support. We couldn't have done it without additional assistance that the county was able to give us. Where that was coming from, the county had funds, whether it was from federal funding, but we were able to get allocated funds to keep folks in homes. Sadly, many folks were in motels, but we were able to keep them at least with a roof over their head during the pandemic. The food distribution moved from congregate sites to more people at home. So our 1,000 meals a day developed into like 1,200, 1,300. We were going to motels delivering meals. Couldn't have done any of that without the additional resources that the county was able to bring.
Great. Well, on the last thing, I just want you to touch real quickly on, because it's one of my favorite, Kula Farms there. Then we'll wrap this up. Can you just tell people exactly about that? Because it's real special.
It is special, Commissioner Arnott. I'm glad you mentioned it, because if folks are ever in around Asbury, it's probably the most unique part of our work. We have a very comprehensive neighborhood revitalization program in the west side of Asbury Park, and the Kula Urban Farm is special. We have hydroponic farming there. We have a farm without borders. It's on the west side of Asbury Park. It's a community-oriented. A lot of learning goes on there. A lot of nutrition and wellness development goes on for folks. But with all the programs we've been able to initiate over the years, that's one that's about as unique as any.
Terrific. So, I know that I want to thank on behalf of you and your whole organization there, because truly you make our life so much easier, and you reach out to a bigger amount of individuals than we could ever reach to. And plus, the word fits well, interfaith. They have faith in you there. And, and that's a big thing with people. So I want to thank you. I want to thank all your volunteers, your organization, and I know that you're very accessible to be able to reach out to there and for any information. And we're very, very fortunate that, I think you said 30-something years ago, this organization was created. But it's all the people that came up there and really brought it to what it is today, which has expanded largely.
And the support of the community, the county, and our volunteers, you're right, that's what been able to make this work so well for 34 years.
Well, Chip, thank you very much for being part of this show. This is great information to the people, and it's something that people have to realize. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. There's a lot of help going on behind the scenes, and at the end of the day, people might not know it, but as long as it's getting done, that's what the important initiative is. So that's all we have for this segment of Monmouth in Focus, and I'll see you next time.